so much. So I have to tell you, this movie was so compelling and so moving. It had me entertained. It also had me thinking. But what moved me to tears was the particular moments in the movie where the Black sailors emerge to witness their brother, who is having, yes, a collective, but also a unique experience. And so I'm wondering what you think about being in sight, right? Being seen.
Mm, mm. Me as Jesse or me as me?
Both. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was one of the things that attracted me to the role. Um, there's an arc that happens for Jesse where literally in the mirror, all he's dealing with is himself. He sees himself.
We are outside. Here we go. Welcome to Skrilltown Talk. I am your host, Mr. Skrilltown himself. And tonight we have the lovely Lenita Cook. She is a film critic with KCTV5 out of Kansas City. How are you doing, Lenita?
It is a wonderful day. I am so excited to be here. I cannot wait to get to talk to you, and just wherever you guide us, that's where we go.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and then I'm excited about this as well. This is the first time I've ever interviewed a film critic, so I'm really truly excited. I've done a lot of interview with people in the industry, but I've never interviewed a film critic. So I'm excited about this, and I hope you are as well.
Oh, no hopes necessary. I am definitely excited.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little bit about Lenita. She is a film critic with KCTV5's My KC Live and WHO 13's Hello Iowa, with memberships in the world's largest collective of professional critics, Critics Choice Association, and the second oldest critics group in the nation, Kansas City Film Critics Circle, where she serves on the board. She is also a member of the Alliance of Women Film Journalists and a voting member of the Black Reel Awards. She's a creative producer, writer, and co host, currently working on an open road travel show called Get Lost for KCPBS. Wow, that's nice. She is a new traveler and a super vegan chickpea lover and a nerd when it comes to story structure and thematic messaging. What else we have? She's an art advocate, and she has served as an art non for profit with the Sundance Film Festival for 13 years. Also, an international festival, sounds like in Germany. I can't pronounce it. I don't want to butcher
I
it.
can't either. I say Braunschweig, but I don't think my German's right.
Right. I'm like, I don't even want to even try that. And then she's with the Heritage Museum Foundation. So yeah, welcome. I'm so excited and glad that you've given us this opportunity to interview you tonight.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the invitation. It is always a joy, and honor and thrill when somebody is interested in your work, and I love talking. I'm a talker, so I hope you're ready.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, and this will be another part of our Women in Entertainment series that I'm doing this month and possibly next month as well. So I congratulate you for being a woman in entertainment.
Yeah, and it sounds like we have more than just the two of us on the call. You have a little chirpy bird behind you.
You hear that? Yes. Oh yeah, we currently are outside. Before this interview, it was a drone. Somebody was flying a drone outside. I was like, oh man, everybody want to tune in on this. So yeah, I'm excited about this. You can hear the birds chirping and the natural stuff going on. But yeah, so I'm going to play another clip, and it looks like this was, what's the name of that? The Family Plan. Uh, Give us a little bit about it before I play it, but tell me about the experience you had with this movie in particular.
Sure. So this was my very first red carpet event ever, and by that I mean I've been on a red carpet where I've watched folks walk the red carpet. I have also walked the red carpet, but this was my first time interviewing on the red carpet. And it was a very big and daunting and just monumental experience, because it was also my first time in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And I was invited by Apple TV Plus. The Family Plan is a feature starring Mark Wahlberg. And so I got to interview that entire cast, including Mr. Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, that's nice. That's what I'm saying. The perks that you have as a film critic. I mean, people just don't understand. You probably met a lot of people that people only imagine of meeting. So yeah, I commend you for that. So let me play the clip, and then we can get a little bit more into that.
Okay.
Vegas for the very first time, and I am here for the premiere of The Family Plan, starring Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Monaghan, and action queen Maggie Q.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Mark Wahlberg, man, I've always wanted to meet him. He's a cool dude. I remember when he was Marky Mark back in the day.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just, that's what I'm talking about. So going into this.
I have to tell you, I was at the very end of the red carpet. And so the ones with more clout, they're at the beginning of the red carpet, and they get to talk to everybody as soon as they enter the red carpet. And a lot of times when you're at the end, they may not have time anymore. But Mr. Mark Wahlberg, I'm calling him Mr. I don't know if he likes that or not, but to me, he's like, because I also remember I saw him in concert when he was Marky Mark, and so with Evelyn Champagne King, and so he's so huge, and he made sure that he got to me and everybody on that red carpet. And but for me, and mind you, this is my very first red carpet. Yeah. I'm watching him approach, and person by person, my questions are leaving my brain. And and so I'm like, by the time he gets to me, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I was so nervous. I was stuck. And it was so intimidating. But I had this, there was a guy, Tony, I think he's out of Utah. He's a veteran film critic, entertainment reporter, and he took such great care of me the whole night. He made sure, because they all knew him. Like I said, he's a veteran, but he was next to me. He was before me, but next to me on the red carpet. And so he would go, and this is my friend out of Kansas City. And so he would make sure that everybody stopped to talk to me. And I've never been so well taken care of. And people are pretty good. We tend to be pretty good to each other, at least in my experience, critic to critic at these events. Yeah, but that honestly,
it sounds like y'all take care of each other. So, with that being said, like, what made you decide to become a film critic?
Happenstance. I'll be honest with you, if I can be honest about that. It was like two different things that were happening in my life kind of converged. And so on one hand, I had written this novel, and I had self-published this novel, and was in this writers group, and everybody in the writers group wanted to be self-published. And the reason they wanted to be self-published, or the one that they talked about the most, was that traditional publishers at that time, there were still the big six, they were no longer holding funds aside for marketing new writers. New writers had to come with their own following, because we were well into the advent of social media, and I didn't know what that meant or anything like that. And I said, so let me get investigative. I went ahead and self-published my novel. And what I did is I started a column reviewing books. And then, but I wasn't publishing enough to make a dent in it, right? Nobody was reading my column, only my friends and family, but it wasn't picking up steam. And I said, I need to be publishing more frequently. And I thought, why don't I become a movie reviewer? And my background isn't in production. My background is in acting. And so I thought, what I knew about storytelling from the actor's perspective could be useful in reviewing movies. Well, a local journalist and actress had made her first short film, and she she knew that I had hosted a show for Kansas City, KCKCC,
Okay.
Kansas City, Kansas Community College.
Mm-hmm.
And that show was a colleague in the business. She was a producer in television, and she had started a new job on campus, and she needed a host. Well, I didn't have any experience on TV. I was a theater actor, but she knew that I had studied at American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And so she asked me to come host that show. So that's kind of how I got into television. And then this filmmaker, she asked if I would review her film and interview her for my column. And I said, of course. Like back then, it was like, I will interview anybody.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And when I interviewed her, she said it was the funnest interview she had ever had. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And then she became the co-host of Kansas City Live on Channel 41. And she asked if I would be one of their film critics. And I said, absolutely. I knew nothing about live television. I only had that one experience hosting the show for KCKCC, which was recorded. And I didn't know anything about anything. I was just showing up and trying my best.
Right.
But I said yes to the opportunity. And it's been gravy from there.
Wow. So with that, okay. So how long have you been doing the KC Live show?
So KC Live has now gone away, and I'm no longer at Channel 41. I'm at Channel 5, and I've been at Channel 5 for about 7 years as their film critic.
Wow.
But it wasn't until 2019 until I started taking it seriously. Because I didn't know anything, I would just show up and give my opinion. I'm a movie enthusiast. I came of age in the Hollywood Renaissance, the 1980s, and I don't know, became a woman in the 90s. Right. In the 90s. And so I'm shaped by some of Hollywood's best movie making. And I was, like most folks growing up in the 80s, we watched movies.
Yeah, we watched Star everything.
Wars. We watched everything. I mean, action, Jackson to everything. Beetlejuice, Die Hard, everything. And so I had such a passion and enthusiasm for movies that I brought to my criticism, but I didn't know anything about technique. I didn't know anything about rules of engagement. I didn't know anything. And so I was, for most of those years, I just showed up and talked about the movies and tried to be fun to watch on television. And then in 2019, I got flown out for my first press junket. I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, and I watch TV, and I know that people interview stars about their work, but I didn't know that that was something that I could do in the role that I was in. And it was one of the most prolific filmmakers on the planet for my very first interview. And I fell in love with it. And it was, I bombed. I was awful. I was, it was terrible. But I also fell in love with it. And then from there, I said, I want to take this seriously. And I want to give it my all. And so I've just been learning how to be a professional film critic, even through the pandemic. Right.
Well, and the pandemic helped us, like this situation with us being virtual. I always tell people that prior to the pandemic, I was actually in a studio radio station doing this with people coming in, but then the pandemic started and I had to do it from home. And then at first I didn't know if I was going to do it or not. So it was like a gift and a curse. So with that, okay, you said that you bombed. How did you learn how to become like this solid movie critic?
Well, for me, I'd lean into that enthusiasm and joy that I have for movies. Anyways, like I love storytelling. I was a voracious, avid reader as a child. I love to learn. But I'm also, and I'm genuinely curious. And so when I sit down and talk to somebody, I want to know stuff. And so, but where so I have this, what I would call talent. I think curiosity can be a talent in this field. But I didn't, like I said, have technique. And so in that first experience, you know, what I did, one, I didn't know things like there are production notes that I could ask for, or, you know, and read, and they will help point you to, you know, throughout the story of the project and all of the people involved. And what I did is I stood up, like, the days leading up to this interview, I watched everything I could. If I didn't know this person, I went and I watched everything that they had ever been in or ever written, or, you know, that I could find. I mean, and then it was a lot of information that I didn't know how to process into succinct questions for a 3-minute segment. I didn't know how to do that at that time. And so I was just kind of flailing in my interview. I was so nervous. My voice was shaky. And I was interviewing Sam Mendes, multiple Oscars, just adored, beloved. And it was for 1917. And I just loved that movie, but I didn't know how to take all of that and streamline it into clear, beneficial questions, and entertaining questions. And so I think did I answer your
No, you answered it. Yeah. And it's leading up to this next question. So it's a two-parter. So the first one would be, how do you prepare, you know, now that you've gotten all this knowledge? And then how do you get like extra time, or do they just give you, we're only going to give you 5 minutes. We're only going to give you, you know, how does that work when it comes to these celebrities?
That is a really great question. And that's a conversation that we have internally a lot. We don't know who gets what time or how they decide who gets what time. I mean, and then of course you have your celebrity critics, right? You know, there are people who have been in the game for a long time and they know everybody, and they've earned the trust, and they themselves are seen 100% by everybody in the industry as credible. And so those people are going to get that time. Then you have influencers who have great access to audience. And that audience gives them access to this work that we do. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because really a part of what we're doing, we're not just being critical, but a part of our work is to promote, is to help share the story of this project with our audience. And so I think having influencers involved, it helps us understand how to market better. But I actually don't know if they give us more time. Who gets what time and who doesn't. But how do I prepare? One thing that I like to do is watch interviews with the people that I'm gonna interview. Of course, I stay abreast of what they're doing. Like I said, if they've been in things, I like to go look at it if I haven't seen it, just so I can know the kinds of projects that interest them or that they gravitate to. But really, I like to know their interview style. And I like to let them be who they are in the interview. Because if somebody gives short, staccato answers, I want to be prepared for that, so I can have more questions in my arsenal, so that when you answer based on your comfort level, I can follow up with you. Or if you like to wax on, I'm comfortable with that too, because really the people are tuning in for them. They are the celebrity. I'm just here to draw them out. So if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to let you give it to me. So,
I get that. So like, is there an industry standard for like certain things that you have to hit on when you do these criticism, whatever you would call that? Like, is there something, and I'm not just saying just for your company, but like in general, where it's like, all right, make sure when you go in here, you hit on these things, and is there something like that, like as a film critic?
That's a big, broad question that I could answer in a number of ways. My short answer to that is I don't think so, but my background is not journalism. My background, again, is theater. I am trained, like I said, I went to American Musical and Dramatic Academy. I've gone through a producer program through UCLA. And so I've done, I've taken writing classes out of Second City. So I've done industry stuff, but I have only taken like peripheral journalism classes. And so there may be an industry standard, but I think honestly, the way that social media has affected all industries, a lot of what we do is entertainment based now. And so I think it's good for you to have a good personality too. But I think the foundation of all good criticism is trustworthiness. And can an audience trust me? And I would even say, can the artist trust me? I think of a critic as a liaison between the artist and the audience. And I think I'm in a good position for that because one, I'm naturally highly critical, but I'm a consumer, right? I know what it means to work hard for $1 and then, you know what I'm saying? And then go to a movie and drop $9 million on popcorn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the movie isn't what I hoped it would be. And so I take that into consideration in my criticism. Will this satisfy the consumer when they've worked all week and they're going to go out with their family or their loved one, or they're going to go on a first date? How is, you know what I mean? Is this going to do that? But then I also have to respect the artist. The artist movie making is collaborative. You might contribute something, and then what you hoped it would be could change down the line. And your name is still on it. Raising money for films is not easy. There's a lot of confidence that has to go into presenting your work, telling your story and putting it in front of that audience. And a lot of times as artists, we sensitive, and so I take that into consideration in my criticism as well. But at the end of the day, I think, a critic must be a lifelong learner. I don't think that we can ever rest on our laurels. I think that we should always be striving to have a deeper understanding of ourselves, of this world, of artistry, of the media that we are reviewing, critiquing, analyzing, investigating, whatever it is we see ourselves doing. And so that's what I think critics need to always be doing.
And then, like you said, we call it continued education. I've asked every last person that I've interviewed in the last week or so about that, continuing to be educated and learning as you go, because there's no stagnant moment if you want to succeed in anything. So it's like once you start getting complacent, then a lot of times it's like you're stuck.
It's dead in the water. Yes.
So with the Devotion movie, and I haven't even seen it. I didn't really realize it until I started looking at your clips. Like, how was it interviewing Jonathan Major? And how was that?
Yeah. Did you watch the full thing that I sent to you?
I did. Yeah.
What I loved about interviewing Jonathan Majors is he wanted to make sure that we were on the same page, that he understood the moment that he was in with me. I felt like we were a partner in that interview. He said, me as me or me as Jesse.
Yeah.
I was like, both. This is your interview, sir. I mean, I want to hear any and all things that you want to tell me. And I think Jonathan Majors is incredibly interesting as an actor, and interesting is a real word with real weight for me, for him to be interesting. And I also think that he's one of the finest actors of our time. And so from my perspective, it was really getting to probe somebody whose artistry I admire.
Yeah.
And but then he also was real, like when we did that moment like that.
Yeah.
And
You can tell he's a real dude.
He's a real dude. And I was like, when I did it, I was like, I didn't know why I did it, but the fact that he did it too.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And in that series of interviews, I got to also interview the director of the movie. And then I got to interview some of the other actors, and one of them was the Jonas brother. And so like that was a really great junket to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That interview on the Jonas got me brownie points with my kids.
I was about to say, you didn't even mention him. Like, wait a minute. Now you interviewing Jonas Brothers? Like, okay, yeah, just slide that one in real quick. So you said you're a published author. How did that help you as being a film critic?
So it wasn't the publishing itself. It was the 4 years that I spent with the writers group who taught me how to write. When I showed up, I took a year off. I didn't work. I had this story in me that I needed to tell. And I had some CDs that were coming due, and I went ahead and let them, which I don't know if that's fiscally responsible. It's not. But I paid my rent forward for a year, and I wrote this book. And I think, this was me. You hear a lot of people say, if you believe in it, you take the risk. And it was me taking that risk. And then I took this manuscript to my writers group. I didn't know any of these people, and it was like, what is this?
Really?
It was horrible. And so I stayed with them for 4 years, and they became some of my closest friends. But what they taught me was clarity of thought, being succinct, saying what I need to say right now, and then economical storytelling. And so this was, but the thing that they also taught me, because when I'm saying these things, I'm thinking of all the critiques that I got. But the one thing that they made me appreciate, because they were never tired of getting my pages, is because I had a very strong point of view. And they believed in my work because of that point of view, in terms of the structure of the story and my delivery of things. I'm a talker, as you can see, but I'm also a talker in my writing.
Yeah.
But I'm also way more flowery, overuse of metaphors, these very novice things. That's me. And so I had to let them teach me how to streamline my voice. But then they also gave me an appreciation for POV.
Okay.
And that is what I bring into my criticism. It's actually what I believe all storytelling is. And so, yeah.
Okay. And how important has it been to have connections and to network in order to get those connections in this business?
So there was a period in my life where I would show up to events and I would introduce myself to people. Michelle Davidson was one of them. She's the journalist who had made her short film, who invited me to become the film critic. at the time when I met her, the way that I met her was through a networking event. At the time, she was the president over this filmmaker organization. And I showed up. You know, I didn't know anybody, I didn't know anything, but I felt I needed to go in a direction.
Yeah.
And she was one of the people that I met there. And so for me, in this way, networking is fruitful. When you go into a bunch of different rooms, and you say, "Hi, my name is Lonita, and I'm a film critic. Here's my card." You know,
Right.
that can be fruitful. But for me, when I think about networking, I think
Mhm.
about it from the perspective of web building with people who are in your network. And
Mhm.
so identifying your allies and creating kind of a metallic web with them so that you can be a system
Yeah.
of growth and elevate one another together. So
Hmm. So with that, preparation is very important. It sounds like rehearsing even possibly prior to maybe doing an interview or having
yeah,
a function. You know,
yeah.
um, so who would you say has been your greatest influencers as far as getting to the point that you are now, or mentors that have helped you, or even books or anything like that, or podcasts or anything that has helped you and influenced you to be a better critic?
Hmm. So I, I don't really honestly know how to answer this question because it's so many people,
Mhm.
right? And all the answers are true, and you've heard them all before. My mom, she
Mhm.
taught me how to read when I was 2 years old.
Mm.
And not only was she a mom, but she was a teacher. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
so that put me on a trajectory. I love to read. I love to read. Um, I grew up in the rise of Oprah Winfrey. Um, this is significant.
Yeah.
She is may not be the most popular figure right now, but what she accomplished for onlookers, for
Yeah.
viewers, was significant, and it has so much meaning. And then the people that she made, like introduced to the mainstream, um, we all know Maya Angelou,
Yeah.
not just literary folks or readers, or
Hmm.
we all know Maya Angelou,
Yeah.
and Toni Morrison, authors, right? Um,
Mhm.
and so this is an influence that is super huge on what I would like to do more of. Because when, as an adult, because I was a kid watching Oprah
Yeah.
growing up,
Mhm.
and of course I loved, Tina Turner's dancing.
Ah, yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
you love that stuff. But as
Right.
an adult looking back on it, you realized and I don't think that there will ever be a time again where anybody will be able to do this. And I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that there will ever be a time where there could be another Michael Jackson. And
Right.
Oprah Winfrey is the Michael Jackson of daytime television.
Yes,
Okay.
she was.
Yes, she was. And what she did was created a monolithic marketing machine.
Mm.
This is what I've come to understand
Mhm.
watching back on her episodes um, as an adult,
Yeah.
that she was able to promote brands in a way that felt like your girlfriend just showed up and said, "Hey girl, have you tried da 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 girl?" Like
Hmm.
that's the way she made it feel.
Yeah.
And how long has she been off the air? I should know this. Um,
It's been about 15 years, I would say.
yeah, at least
Yeah.
15 years she's been off
Hmm.
the air. And the effect, the Oprah effect, I have a friend,
Yeah.
a woman that I know who has a product. And last year, she made Oprah's favorite things list.
Mm.
And she had to come on a series of social media posts and say, you guys, hold on, the Oprah effect is real. I'm having an issue with production because
Wow.
because everybody wanted her product.
They flooding. It was flooding, wasn't it?
Flooding. She was like, oh, hold on. And she had to, and this is the thing, 15 years she's been off the air. And she still has that effect. And so understanding how to share someone else's story in a way that affects an audience emotionally, where they want to buy in, where they want to subscribe. That's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm very inspired and influenced by Oprah. And I mentioned Maya Angelou. I'm a homebody. I like to chill at home. My friends come over, we eat, crack
right.
Get into the kind of conversations that you can't have at work, And but one friend took me to see Maya Angelou speak in person in LA, and it was a moment that changed my life. There was not one thing that she said that changed my life. It was just the experience of witnessing that changed my life. And then of course, I have uncles who influence me. Thing that I find challenging is my ideology around Blackness that I don't necessarily discuss publicly because it's not a pop ideology, right? It's like the stuff that you talk about at home, right? But I'm very influenced by my uncles who came of age in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 60s, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's a whole nother consciousness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so these are all things that influence the way I think and approach my work as a critic. And then all the gurus, like Think and Grow Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, like reading those kinds of books, like, wow, this is the kind of stuff that people are thinking about that I'm the kind of person that never really did. And then being changed, your mind being open and you being able to see another sector of the world because of books.
Yeah, that's powerful right there. And like you said, some of those books, well, the two books that you named, I got them both, but I'm pretty sure a million other people have them. But those are books that you live by, that you read them and you take advice from there. And like you said, Oprah, just her alone, if you were to pick, like, not you yourself, but if I were to ask anyone to pick somebody that influenced them, even if it wasn't Oprah, it was someone that she probably discovered or had on her show to promote back then. So that's how influential she was. Is that I remember when she brought Tyler Perry out. I remember when Dr. Phil. I remember Rachel Ray. I remember I forgot the lady that wrote Waiting to the Exhale.
Terry Morris? No, McMillan.
Yeah, Terry McMillan.
Yeah,
I think that's her name. Yeah, but and the list goes on and on and on. Tom Cruise was on her show several times, but it's just like, wow, like you said.
And Tina Turner herself.
Because here's the thing.
Tina Turner was a musician, famous, well-known, and then Angela Bassett did her biopic. And Oprah Winfrey would bring Tina Turner, and she turned her into an icon, a living legend. A living legend. Yeah.
Well, and that's why I said, so everything you said, I mean, hit all the points. My last question would be,
we're done already.
I know, almost. For any aspiring critics, writers, anybody actors, like, what type of words of wisdom or advice would you give them in regards to just keep going?
Yeah. So I have a community called Cookies High Flyer Crew. And these are folks who are launching into their best and wildest dreams in midlife or later, like me. Um, but I think what we talk about could be applied to any age. We talk about confidence in dream building. We talk about crafting and storytelling. We talk about networking and audience building. But two things that I really, really love talking about with them is one, turn your nonsense into your niche. A lot of times they tell us, "Oh, I love such and such. She is so no nonsense," and I'm like, "Whoa, I am all nonsense. I am all nonsense," because what that looks like for me is being honest about my shortcomings and the things that I do that create joy, the things that I do that annoy folks. And there are some things I don't know that I haven't identified, but I take those things and find my people.
Yeah.
Okay. The people who my work would resonate with. I put this perspective, the perspective of the person who does X, Y, or Z into my stories. And so I always say, let your nonsense be your niche, right?
Nonsense be your niche. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second thing is I think about approach. You know, we think about business and story and all these things in terms of idea, figuring out who, what, when, where, why, and coming out with a plan, getting your minimum viable product or minimum viable service, whatever it is, and then testing the market. But I think the first step before you ideate is to know your approach style. And so I think there are 5 key people that are good on a team: strategist, fundraiser, promoter, organizer, and marketer, right?
Yeah.
And figure out which one of those you are, because that's going to help you understand your approach to things, your approach to dream making, your approach to bringing a product to the marketplace, right? Because you don't have to be all those things.
Right.
I consider myself a strategist. I'm a planner. I'm a critic. Right. And you know what I mean? But I'm terrible at promoting. And when I say promoting, organizer, not marketer, organizer.
Organizer. Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's the other one. So I'm not a good organizer either. Organizer is I don't understand how you convince all these people to participate. Like, that is a power. That is magic. That's
a talent.
It's
and
a
a skill.
It's a gift. It's a skill. It's all the things. I don't got it. Right. And I'm honest about that, so that when I see somebody who is an organizer, I see somebody who is a promoter, because I'm also not good at that. I say, yo, let's link up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I value what they bring to the table. I don't have to compete with them, because I know together, and this goes into that network building.
Yeah. Well, and also it's what you said about team. You know what I'm saying? That's the true meaning of a team. Like, you don't have to do everything. You go out and find people that are good at it, and they do it. And then you all come together for the ultimate goal. That's a team.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's that team concept. So lastly, where can we find you at on social media, and give us a little bit about where they could next time see you on the travel show that you're doing?
Yes, thank you for that. So at Lonita Cook on Facebook and Instagram, please follow me on Instagram. If you want to join Cookie High Flyers crew, Cookie's High Flyer crew, I'm Cookie. My high school chemistry teacher, when I would walk into class, he would go, Cookie. And I always loved that. I mean, I would, as a teenager, act like,
Right.
but I secretly loved it.
You like
And so you can go to lonitacook.com. Get Lost is our open road travel show for KCPBS. We released episode 1 back in February. We are in production, pre-production on the upcoming episodes.
Wow. Okay. I most definitely got to check that out. I'm gonna go and check it out. Google, so I can just go online and Google like the first episode.
You can watch it if you are a member of PBS. Now there are some things that you can watch on PBS Passport, and you don't have to be a member. But if you're a member of PBS, you can definitely watch episode our pilot on of Get Lost on the app. But then if you're not. If you're not, you should be.
There's you promoting right now. You just promoted.
You certainly should be. But then if you can't make that work, then I would say go on to YouTube and you can see our pilot there. Yes.
Okay. Well, like she said, Lonita Cook. Basically on all social media platforms. Check out the show, Get Lost on PBS. Check her out at KCTV5. And we would like to thank you for being our guest tonight. I really, truly appreciate it. I'm glad this is like really the first interview from Kansas City that I've done. And I plan to do more, of course, because I'm from Kansas City. And, you know, but
thank you so much.
Yeah, most definitely. And Anita, we just want to thank you again for giving us your time on a Sunday evening.
Oh, it is a Sunday evening. I had no worries. I was like, you want to talk to me? I'm a talker. Let's do it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see.
And you are wonderful. This has been so much fun, so easy peasy. You're a great guide through the conversation. So thank you very much. And thank you for thinking of me for this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also want to let the viewers know that this will be rebroadcasted on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. So,
and thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Have a good one, Lenita. We'll talk soon, okay?
You too. Thanks again.
All right. Have a good one.